Hello, I'm Sonny. I am an actor on General Hospital, and many people really love both me and our General Hospital drama. So I've come here to share updates about my beloved General Hospital. Everyone, please subscribe and support me. If you do, I will keep coming every day with new updates for you. The moment General Hospital's front entrance became the stage for an unforgettable reunion, everything in Port Charles changed in the blink of an eye. After months of uncertainty, sacrifice, and dangerous secrets, Valentin Cassadine finally returned home with something no one expected, a full pardon that wiped away the crimes that had forced him into hiding. It was a shocking twist, yet one that carried a strange sense of justice, considering Jack Brennan had walked free for nearly identical offenses committed under the WSB banner, trading a prison cell for another government assignment. Fate seemed determined to give Valentin the same second chance, and as the SUV rolled to a stop outside General Hospital, it became clear that this wasn't simply the return of one man. It was the beginning of a brand new chapter that would shake relationships, ignite old rivalries, and divide nearly everyone in Port Charles. The rumors had barely begun to spread before emotions exploded, and one couple suddenly found themselves standing at the center of the storm. The instant Carly Corinthos caught sight of Valentin stepping out of the vehicle, the world around her simply disappeared. She abandoned her conversation with Sonny without a second thought, driven entirely by instinct as she sprinted toward the man she had desperately missed. Across the courtyard, Valentin saw her running, and without hesitation he rushed forward himself, closing the distance between them as though every painful day apart had been leading to this exact moment. When they finally reached one another, they collided in a powerful embrace filled with relief, longing, and overwhelming joy before sharing a passionate kiss that left everyone watching completely speechless. Standing nearby, Sonny Corinthos could only stare in disbelief, while Lulu Spencer struggled to process what she had just witnessed unfolding before her eyes. Charlotte Cassadine looked stunned as well, but for a very different reason. She wasn't shocked by the affection between her father and Carly because she had already sensed how close they had become. Instead, Charlotte's amazement came from seeing her father finally standing there as a free man, no longer forced to hide in the shadows or constantly look over his shoulder. For Lulu, however, that emotional reunion answered questions she hadn't even realized she was asking. Watching Carly throw herself into Valentin's arms instantly connected countless pieces of a puzzle that had remained incomplete for weeks. Suddenly, Valentin's mysterious disappearances, Carly's unusual behavior, and several unexplained events all began making perfect sense. Sonny, meanwhile, found himself blindsided by a reality he clearly hadn't anticipated. Forced to watch the woman who had once shared so much of her life with him openly embrace another man without hesitation. Yet Carly wasn't interested in anyone else's opinions. The only thing that mattered to her was finally having Valentin back where he belonged. She wasted absolutely no time bringing him home with her, making it crystal clear that she had no intention of letting him disappear from her life again. After everything they had endured, she wanted him close, and Valentin, relieved beyond words that he no longer had to hide away in her attic like a fugitive, embraced the chance to finally live without fear. Still, freedom didn't erase the complications waiting just beyond their front door. Their first taste of reality came sooner than either of them expected, when Sonny unexpectedly arrived at Carly's home and walked directly into an intimate moment between the reunited couple. The surprise encounter immediately filled the room with unbearable tension, transforming what had been a peaceful evening into another emotional battlefield. Sonny didn't waste any time expressing his outrage, declaring that Valentin represented the worst mistake Carly had ever made. It was a bold accusation that carried more than a little irony considering Sonny's own long and complicated history. Carly had certainly made questionable romantic choices over the years, including her engagement to Franco Baldwin during one of the darkest chapters of their lives, not to mention the complicated Alcazar chapter that many fans still remember. Even so, Sonny stood there convinced that Valentin topped the list, while completely overlooking the painful history of mistakes that existed within his own relationships. Then the conversation took an even darker turn. Sonny revealed the painful truth that Valentin had played a role in tampering with his psychiatric medication, exposing one of the most damaging secrets still lingering between them. It was a revelation that struck Carly like a bolt of lightning. Her face reflected genuine horror as she struggled to reconcile the man standing beside her with the actions Sonny described. Valentin didn't attempt to deny what had happened or make excuses for himself. Instead, he accepted responsibility, acknowledged the damage that had been done, and offered a sincere apology. The confession carried real weight because Valentin understood exactly how much trust he was risking in that moment. Yet despite her shock, Carly chose not to walk away. She listened, absorbed the painful truth, and ultimately decided that their future together was worth more than allowing the past to destroy what they had built. The confrontation in Carly's kitchen may have ended without anyone storming out, but it served as the first warning that far greater obstacles were waiting just around the corner. If Sonny hoped that one emotional confrontation would end Carly's relationship with Valentin, he couldn't have been more mistaken. Summer spoilers suggest his determination is only beginning to grow stronger, with Sonny reportedly recruiting Brick to help drive a wedge between the couple. Considering Brick has always carried obvious feelings for Carly, it's easy to imagine him stepping into the situation with very little hesitation. Whether his motivation comes from loyalty to Sonny or his own personal hopes regarding Carly, the result promises to create another layer of pressure for the newly reunited lovers. Yet Sonny's crusade against Valentin also raises difficult questions about hypocrisy. After all, Sonny's own past is filled with controversial decisions, painful betrayals, and moments that left lasting scars on countless lives. His history hardly places him in a position to lecture Carly about disastrous romantic choices, making his campaign against Valentin feel far more personal than principled. Meanwhile, another important milestone appears to be quietly taking shape. Carly has already admitted that she never wants Valentin to leave again, making it seem almost inevitable that he will officially move into her home permanently. Living together would mark an entirely new phase of their relationship, transforming what had once been secret attic hideouts and whispered reunions into a real domestic life shared under one roof. There's an undeniable irony in the fact that this is the very house Sonny once called home with Carly. Now, those same rooms may soon become the place where Valentin builds an entirely different future beside the woman he loves. Plenty of visitors will undoubtedly arrive to criticize Carly's decision, offering unsolicited opinions and warnings about her relationship. But with Jocelyn Jacks appearing surprisingly accepting of Valentin, Carly seems more determined than ever to ignore the judgment surrounding her and simply follow her heart. As their relationship continues to deepen, another unexpected change may soon transform Carly and Valentin's new life together into something that resembles a real family. It isn't another baby on the way or some dramatic surprise pregnancy waiting around the corner. Instead, the biggest addition to their household may very well be Charlotte Cassadine herself. Carly has already formed a genuine bond with Charlotte, welcoming her with warmth rather than suspicion, and Charlotte has responded by growing surprisingly comfortable around the woman who has become her father's greatest source of happiness. The affection between them feels natural, and every interaction hints that Charlotte sees Carly as someone she can trust. While that growing connection promises happiness inside Carly's home, it also threatens to ignite an emotional war with Lulu Spencer, whose relationship with her daughter is already hanging by an increasingly fragile thread. Lulu has spent countless months trying to keep Valentin at a distance, convinced that limiting his influence is the best thing for Charlotte. But Valentin is no longer willing to disappear quietly from his daughter's life, especially now that he has returned to Port Charles as a free man. Rather than begging for visitation or settling for occasional moments together, Valentin has offered Lulu an equal 50-50 custody arrangement. If she refuses, he has made it perfectly clear that he is prepared to let family court decide their future. Charlotte is 16 years old now, old enough for her own wishes to carry tremendous weight in any custody hearing. Should a judge ask where she wants to live, there's every reason to believe Charlotte would confidently choose her father. Summer spoilers suggest that Charlotte's growing frustrations with Lulu will only intensify, eventually pushing her to search for a completely new place to call home. That possibility becomes even more believable when considering everything else happening within the Spencer family. Laura Spencer is preparing to leave Port Charles for Ireland to spend time with Kevin Collins and Ace Cassadine, meaning Charlotte is unlikely to settle into her grandmother's home during this period of family upheaval. Instead, every sign points towards Charlotte finding comfort in the one place where she feels completely understood, under the same roof as Valentin and Carly. For Valentin, having his daughter living with him again would represent the fulfillment of one of his greatest dreams, restoring a piece of the family life that circumstances repeatedly stole away from him. Carly would almost certainly embrace the arrangement without hesitation, welcoming Charlotte not as an obligation but as someone she genuinely cares about. While Lulu would undoubtedly view the move as another painful loss, Charlotte may see it as the first opportunity in years to choose the future she truly wants for herself. Of course, rebuilding a peaceful family life requires more than simply sharing a home. Valentin also needs a purpose beyond his personal relationships, and that means finding meaningful work now that his pardon has cleared the way for a fresh start. It's amusing to imagine someone with Valentin's refined taste and sophistication serving as a sommelier inside the Metro Court restaurant, effortlessly recommending the perfect vintage while charming every guest who walks through the doors. Yet somehow that future feels almost too peaceful for a man whose life has always been tangled in espionage, deception, and dangerous political games. A far more intriguing possibility lies with the WSB itself. Despite everything that has happened between Valentin and Jack Brennan, there may come a moment when both men appear willing to bury the hatchet, at least on the surface. But appearances can be deceiving, and Valentin has never been a man who forgets betrayal simply because someone offers a handshake. In reality, pretending to reconcile with Jack may become Valentin's greatest strategic advantage. Carly still burns with anger over everything Brennan has done, and her desire to see him brought down has never truly faded. If Valentin accepts a position with the local WSB office, he would gain the perfect opportunity to move close enough to Jack to monitor every move, every conversation, and every vulnerability. From inside the organization, he could quietly protect Jocelyn Jacks while simultaneously collecting the information needed to destroy Brennan from within. Even more fascinating is the growing possibility that Jason Morgan may eventually find himself working alongside the WSB as well. If that happens, Valentin could end up sharing missions with both Jocelyn and Carly's closest friend while secretly orchestrating Jack's downfall in the shadows. It would be an extraordinary balancing act, living one life publicly while pursuing an entirely different mission behind closed doors, all motivated by his determination to protect the woman he loves. But even if Valentin succeeds professionally and his home life flourishes with Carly, peace will remain painfully elusive because opposition is gathering from every direction. Port Charles is filled with people who have complicated histories with Valentin, and many of them will never believe he deserves another chance. Anna Devane may find herself struggling with haunting memories and emotional manipulation connected to Peter August, influences that could easily push her toward confronting Valentin once again. Lulu's anger is already reaching dangerous levels, and if Charlotte ultimately chooses to move in with Carly and Valentin, Lulu's heartbreak could evolve into something much more calculated. Losing both emotional control and physical proximity to her daughter might convince Lulu that destroying the relationship between Carly and Valentin is the only way to reclaim what she has lost. Every decision the couple makes seems destined to create another enemy, ensuring that their happiness will never come without a fight. Even Lulu's family life has become increasingly complicated. Charlotte's growing independence has already become a constant source of frustration, and Rocco Falconeri's recent behavior has only added to Lulu's emotional burden. His unusual fixation on Britt Westbourne feels deeply hurtful, especially because it leaves Lulu wondering why her own son seems so disconnected from the mother standing right in front of him. While Charlotte's loyalty to Valentin can at least be understood given the way he raised her, Rocco's attitude is far more difficult to explain. These emotional fractures inside Lulu's family create an atmosphere where resentment can easily grow, making every future confrontation with Carly and Valentin even more volatile. Instead of finding comfort at home, Lulu may discover herself surrounded by disappointment, loneliness, and increasingly impossible choices. Another major question still hangs over the future, and it involves Jason Morgan's eventual return. Jason has always been fiercely protective of Carly, and there is every reason to believe he may initially struggle with the idea of seeing her involved with Valentin. Sonny will almost certainly seize that opportunity, pouring out every frustration he has about Carly's new romance, while hoping Jason will join his campaign to break the couple apart. Yet Jason himself is reportedly preparing for a significant change in his own life, one that could reshape his priorities and the decisions he makes moving forward. Whether he chooses to stand beside Sonny or respect Carly's right to follow her own heart remains uncertain. That uncertainty alone creates another emotional layer surrounding Valentin and Carly's future, because Jason's opinion has always carried enormous weight within their circle. As if those challenges weren't enough, Nina Reeves and Jack Brennan are expected to grow much closer in the weeks ahead, creating yet another obstacle for the new couple. Neither of them is thrilled by Carly's relationship with Valentin, although each has very different reasons for feeling threatened. Carly's hatred for Brennan continues to burn just as intensely as ever, while her rivalry with Nina has been one of Port Charles' longest-running emotional battles. If Jack and Nina begin working together, intentionally or otherwise, they could create serious complications for Valentin and Carly, just as their relationship starts gaining real momentum. Dante Falconeri may also become involved, stepping forward to check on Lulu while warning Carly about the emotional chaos unfolding around everyone involved. Before long, it may feel as though nearly the entire town has formed an opinion about Valentin and Carly's romance, with very few people remaining truly neutral. Yet perhaps that constant opposition is exactly what will strengthen their bond instead of weakening it. Every criticism, every warning, and every attempt to drive them apart only seems to reinforce how deeply they care for one another. The passion between Carly and Valentin isn't built on convenience or nostalgia. It feels earned through sacrifice, separation, forgiveness, and the willingness to embrace one another despite knowing exactly how complicated the future will be. Their chemistry radiates from every scene they share, creating the kind of electric connection that immediately captures viewers' attention and makes every reunion, every argument, and every stolen moment feel unforgettable. No matter how many enemies gather around them, they refuse to let fear dictate the choices they make. That is why their journey feels like more than just another romance unfolding in Port Charles. It feels like the beginning of something much bigger, a relationship forged through impossible odds and tested by every challenge imaginable. The road ahead promises custody battles, dangerous conspiracies, family conflict, jealous rivals, and countless emotional confrontations that will push both Carly and Valentin to their limits. Even so, they continue moving forward hand in hand, convinced that what they have found together is worth protecting at any cost. Whether the town accepts them or not has become almost irrelevant because neither Carly nor Valentin appears willing to let outside voices define their future. If they survive the storms waiting ahead, they may very well become the next unforgettable super couple that General Hospital has been searching for. A passionate, fearless partnership capable of captivating Port Charles and audiences alike for years to come.